Yeah, someone forgot to tell the former attorney general that his responsibilities as an attorney general is to represent the people of the United States of America, not just one man, meaning his boss at the time, Donald Trump. And that's the biggest problem, because I sat and I listened to the comments coming out of his mouth, and I'm still trying to figure out what this buffoon was talking about. It was back and forth, circular, circular. He didn't answer a single question. And then, of course, with the refute of the, what's his name, Jeffrey Berman book, there's nobody as it comes to Jeffrey Berman's book has acknowledged that anything that the other person has said is accurate.
Well, he's saying the claim that he made is not true. I would argue that he did answer some questions talking about how he views these legal cases against his former boss. But he also said that he thinks the lawsuit filed against you by Trump doesn't have any merit. Were you surprised when Trump filed that lawsuit?
Yeah, I was surprised. Not shocked, but I was surprised. It's part of the Trump playbook. I mean, we've used it before. He used to talk about how he had brought the action against the New York Times, and despite the fact that he lost that over the course of the years, you know, that sort of determination, that decision was used to dissuade others from that same sort of path. You know, but I was wondering whether Donald, at the time that he was coming up with $500 million, thought he was like Dr. Evil, putting his finger up to his mouth, you know, trying to think about having fun at somebody else's expense.
Why do you think he did this now? Because the comments you've been saying, you know, he's alleging you're breaching attorney-client privilege by talking about what you all spoke about privately and agreements you signed. Why do you think he's doing it now?
Well, first of all, he keeps talking about some document that I signed. There is no such document.
You said you never signed
I never signed an NDA. There was a couple of years back.
Did you sign a confidentiality agreement?
When there was a document series that was going around the Trump org, I never signed it. But more importantly, years ago, Charles Harder had, when I was putting out the book Disloyal, had sent a letter, a cease and desist letter, and claimed to have attached this NDA. We had asked for it. It was never attached. It's actually not even part of the complaint. It's also missing.
So you're saying that they are not going to produce any document that has your signature on it saying you wouldn't talk about the conversations that y'all had privately?
Yeah, I don't recall signing any NDA, and I would like to see the document. So far, it has yet to be produced.
Do you think Trump is trying to intimidate you or maybe others from coming forward?
Well, that's the whole purpose of this lawsuit. It's to harass and intimidate. It's not just to harass and intimidate me. It's also to put out a message to everyone else that if, in fact, you follow in what Cohen is doing, you too will get a $500 million lawsuit against you, which you're going to have to defend. And to be honest with you, defense is expensive.
Are you going to be able to afford a lawsuit like this if it doesn't get tossed out?
The answer is no. However, I was fortunate enough that American Patriots put together a GoFundMe, and it's already, I mean, our first goal was to reach $100,000. I think we're already halfway there. And I'll figure out how to make it work with various different law firms in Florida as well as New York, even if that means that I have to start, you know, doing some of the legal work myself.
You would represent yourself?
I would not represent myself as the counsel, but I can do certainly a lot of the work. You know, that's what I've been doing over the course, over the last couple of days. I was looking at different strategies that I would employ. Am I going to, once I ultimately get the complaint, it still hasn't been served, but once it gets served, then the clock starts running. I can look at maybe doing a Rule 12 or Rule 16 motion and force an immediate deposition. We could file an answer. We can go ahead, make a motion for summary judgment or a dismissal. There's many different strategies, and I'm trying to figure out which one will put me in the best situation and him in the, obviously, the worst.
Given you're a former attorney, what would be the basis for your motion to dismiss?
Actually, I don't want to talk about it, only because I haven't come up with a strategy yet. And once I do, I'll come back and I'll let you know.